we don't really get to talk to too many teams like out on the coast area. I feel like you guys almost get like excluded from a little bit, especially like those in Columbia, those in like uh, Spartanburg and all that jazz, Greer. So it's great to talk to you, and obviously just the the way your season's going, the way the team's running. It's hard not to talk about you guys. But before any of that, I always like starting off with new people coming on. Is like, how did you start running? Like, what's the story in that?
Right. So I actually did not want to start running at all. I started playing soccer when I was 4 years old up until I was 13, so about like seventh grade. And then my parents forced me to do summer training because my coach Woody had seen one of my like local races and was like, "Oh, well, she could be really good. Like, you should have her come run cross country." So I cried to my mom every single day and told her how much I didn't want to be there. And then she just made me do it. And then my first season in seventh grade, I ran in 1954, and then I just kind of stuck with it because I don't know.
That's a first. I've heard soccer. Obviously we get so many people who transition from soccer to cross country. So that's not uncommon. But like not wanting to do the sport, that is a first.
Oh, no, I
Um,
didn't want to do it so bad.
but you stuck with it. I mean, you're still here, so which is great. Um, did you find like a love for it, or is it still like a love hate relationship?
No, I definitely found a love for it. And like I go in my phases where it's like, oh, like I don't really want to go to practice. But the majority of the time, like I really do love it.
Yeah, trust me, you're not alone in that. I think every runner goes through those kind of emotions where we love it, we hate it, we love it, we hate it. Especially getting up early, getting the runs in, things like that. It's always going to be that kind of relationship. Um, okay, outside of running, what hobbies? What are we doing?
Outside of running, I wouldn't say there's too much time for a lot of other hobbies, but I work and I like to hang out with my friends. And usually, when we hang out with my friends, we go eat food. So I guess food is a hobby. But other than that, not much. I like to spend time with my
Yeah,
family. That's it.
yeah. Oh, okay. Well, working. Hold on, I can't let that slide. Working. What do you do for like work?
I host and bus at Nectar. And yeah, so
Okay. See, again, hey, new things to the podcast. Um, so yeah, so let's dive into, obviously cross country season's going on right now, but I really want to talk about track for a second here. Um, 518 in the 16, 1127 in the 32. And obviously you competed at states, and placed seventh there. Um, do you have, it seems like you definitely play both events pretty well and quite frequently. It doesn't seem like you really dabble in just one and heavy load. Do you have a preference of what event you like more, or are they kind of equally the same?
last year, okay, so before last year, my main event, I really focused on the 2 mile. And then I think my PR then was 11:54 or something like that. So not like that fast. And then last year, I shifted my focus more towards the mile. And just because I found more joy in running 8 laps in a circle. And so I really enjoyed that a lot more. And I think I did the mile a little bit more than I did the 2 mile during that season. But I honestly wish I had gotten more chances to do the open eight because I got to do the 4x8 most races, but that doesn't really show up or doesn't really count as a PR because it's not really going on mile split. So I wish I got to compete in the open eight a little more, but I do enjoy the mile.
Yeah. So what? I mean, if you talk about like 8 laps around the track, obviously, like I don't feel like nobody likes 8 laps around the track, which is sad because I love the long distance stuff. But 4 laps around the track, you like the 800. So you feel like you have a lot of speed, I guess then, or
Um, I don't know. I feel like it's a good amount, but I mean, obviously other people have way more than me, but like I feel like I can still hold myself up in mid distance events while like being able to compete good in like the 5K during cross country good as well.
yeah, I think that's like honestly a huge kind of threat to have and like a great ability to have because you see guys and gals that have that 800 speed that can just destroy you in a kick in cross country. It's so lethal and it's great if you can kind of tune that up. let's kind of dive into summer training, obviously for cross country, because that's what we're in right now. How was that? How was summer? Did you get everything you kind of felt like you needed to, like the long runs up, the easy runs?
Honestly, I felt like usually every year before this, I felt like summer training has felt so long, and like I keep waiting one more week to like take it up a notch or increase that mileage. And then this year, I felt like it went by so fast. It was like, wait a minute, I felt like I didn't even do like as much as I needed to do this summer. Which I don't know if that's just because I felt like that because like I was really getting excited for the season, so I was like, oh well, like I need to peak now, you know. Which you obviously don't want that to happen, but I think I was just getting excited for the season. But a lot of miles were put in over the summer for sure. But I think it's paying off, so that's good.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of coaches about this too, and you know, especially like with eye opener, I feel like there's so much pressure to run so well early on, and it's like the first race is so hyped up, um, and even a couple meets even after that, but it's like you you're almost like you're expected to perform well so early on, but it's like if you don't, they'll say you're not in shape, and if you do, they'll say you peaked early.
Yeah.
So it's like there's really no win in running fast early on. And I think you see that a lot with some teams right now. It's like they were probably like a lot of teams were kind of off the mark early on, and then you see the results the past like couple weeks, and it's like there's a lot of teams starting to come together. A lot of girls too that are kind of maybe haven't been really on the radar in the top 10 ranked, and now it's like you know top 10 now. And so it's always kind of interesting to see like how summer training kind of develops into the start of the season because
Hmm.
you don't have to run fast right away, especially
No.
goals heading into the season. Did you have any in mind? I mean, obviously, sub 19 already from last year. I gotta assume, you know 18 tens, maybe even sub 18 is kind of was
Yeah.
kind of in the cards.
So at the beginning of the season, I was thinking like sub 18. That's a really big jump. So 1830s would be nice. And now that I'm there at 1829, now I'm like, okay, I really want to go sub 18. But I mean, it's a big jump because I mean, last year I PR'd by like almost a minute. And then this year I've PR'd by 13 seconds already. So it's a lot more, or it's a lot to go down in what we have with the remaining time with the left of the season. But I'm just hoping I won't be too disappointed if I am not able to go sub 18.
Well, honestly, I always look at it like tiers, and like obviously you just knocked out one of the big ones is sub 1830. Um, and that's that should boost a lot of confidence. I feel like it is too in a way. You look at like 30 seconds and you're like, "Oh, I can do that," but then you really like get into the racing and it's like it is hard. I mean, it really is hard to kind of drop that time. Um, but with cross country and 3 miles worth of real estate, I feel like it is achievable, especially you get the workouts in and everything. And honestly, most of it's just confidence, I think, too. I remember the first time I broke 17. It was funny because I was telling my kids this the other day. But I remember the first time I broke 17, and the next race I went out on the line like I was like the best person out there, which I was not. But
Yeah.
it gave me the confidence to keep up with some of those guys, and
Hmm.
I ended up running like 17:04 that next race, and I was only running like 17:30s and 17:40s. So honestly, I really do think confidence is like a huge part in it.
I agree.
Yeah. So talk about the PR. So 1829 at your county champs. That's like awesome. Again, congrats on that. Kudos.
Yeah.
Did you realize you were going that fast during
No,
the race
I had no
or
clue.
not at all?
No,
So you just crossed the line and you're like, oh my gosh, I PR'd?
pretty much. Okay, so we went out fast, which I knew was going to happen because part of the course is on the track, and the first two laps, so the first half mile was on the track, so I knew that that was going to be fast. So the first mile, I think it was like a 5:40 something, which is the fastest I've ever gone out in a 5K. But I was like, shoot, it's like hopefully I can just keep trucking this along. And then before I knew it, I mean, I didn't even feel like I was going that fast. Honestly, I felt relaxed. And then you do a finishing lap on the track, and I just was watching the big clock at the top the entire time when I could see the clock running around the track, and then I was running through the straightaway to the finish, and I like couldn't even look at the clock because I was just like, I really hope I PR, and then I did, so it was good.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I was talking to some guys last week because Great American is like similar where it's just like the first mile is just like downhill at Wake Mid. And so like going out fast, like if you do it, you got to ride the train because there's no going back.
Yeah.
So that's funny you speak that like, yeah, you hit that first mile, like it's kind of hard to slow down there. You just kind of have to hang on and see what happens. Um, do you hear anybody like coaches or like family members like during that, or are you just kind of focused in the whole time?
Most of the time, I never hear anyone unless it's one of my coaches, specifically DJ, calling out splits at where I usually know he's going to be, whether that's at the 3K or the mile. But I mean, if he was probably just on some random spot, I probably wouldn't even hear him.
Really? I feel like that's the opposite of me at least because like if somebody's randomly out in the woods and they're like cheering on, I feel like it's like how do you not hear that? But in a way too, I also feel like I like I was trying to think back to the running days and I don't recall hearing anybody like ever, like my parents or anything. Um, which is weird because now I think of it like as a spectator myself, I'm like, you could yell and scream and it's like how do you not hear me cheer you on?
My parents
Um,
say that all the time. They're like, "Did you hear us cheering?" I'm like,
did you?
"No, no,
No, not at
I
all.
was screaming." I was like,
Yeah,
I
right.
hear you."
So you get out of that race again, and obviously the team is like really. It seems like you guys are really, running on all four cylinders. Like everything's going. How do you like going into that race? Do you strategize as a team, or is it still kind of like every girl for himself right now?
I feel like we're kind of in the middle. I feel like we're really trying to like build our team camaraderie, which I feel like is one of the biggest aspects that helped us win states last year. And it may not sound like much to a lot of people, but I feel like the love that we have for each other honestly helped us both win. So I really just think we're trying to build on that a little. And I think the more we build on that, the more it'll drag the people in the back to kind of hang on to the people in the front and just like drag the whole team together to become closer.
Yeah, I think it is like an interesting kind of dynamic of a team, especially cross country, because cross country is always supposed it seems like it's always more family oriented,
Hmm.
but in a way, and that's why I asked that question because it's like it seems like you guys are pretty close as far as like time wise. Like you have a good front pack. 4 and 5 are right there as well. Like it seems like you do have a good core and everything, but there are some teams that are out there where I feel like it has to be every man for himself at this point because you just got to run fast. Like if you don't have a front core and you're not pack running, then you're just in no man's land. Everyone's in no man's land.
Yeah.
So it's good to see like you guys have that kind of camaraderie and have that success going. Um, quick pivot. Do you have a favorite course?
Okay. I do really like our home course, which is what we call Pink House. It's just three flat laps around this pond. And then that's where I got my first PR of the season, which was in 1842. And then we ran at this past course where it was on Hilton Head's course. And I remember last year it was a little different and there was a lot of super sharp turns and it just wasn't my favorite. It was a fast course, but it wasn't my favorite. And this year, I think they changed some things because I did not feel those sharp turns really. And now that's my favorite course because I PR'd there. So it's just a really
Well,
fast course.
yeah. Well, there you go. I mean, hey, PR course definitely has to be one of the top ones. You mentioned Pink House. Obviously, that event is uh, like coming from. So I basically grew up, lived in Florida my whole life. Um, so I don't know too much like in South Carolina. I'm still learning all the ins and outs, but like that meet seems like it's like so iconic. I don't know if it's just because it's like the pink or whatever. Everything's so like pink and bright and on that, but it is. It's such like an iconic name, and obviously your coach and everything that goes with it. That course, you mentioned like the loops around it. Does it get boring? I'm curious. Like just running around it, or is it
I feel
like
like it
it does seem
does.
I was gonna say, it seems fast because you
It's
have like
really,
such a long straightaway
and
on the backside.
I like it because, I mean, they kind of changed up the way the course that we ran it this year. Like, obviously, it's still around the pond. We just started and ended in different areas. So this year we started kind of at the back of the pond, and then we went around, and then around one more time, and then did a little loop, and then we finished. So, I mean, you're only really going in around it like two or two and a half times. So I feel like, especially when I'm in a race setting, like I just am so zoned out, I don't even realize where I'm running, honestly. And then there's a good bit of people too that once you get to a certain point, then everybody's cheering for you, so it kind of helps you go faster.
Yeah, and so for a course like that, obviously your home course, do you get opportunities to kind of run out there and at all, or not really?
Not really. I mean, I think we've had one workout out there, but I mean, really not that much.
Yeah, I think, I mean, even just running it one time and even a workout out there, regardless, I think it's such a huge advantage on other teams just because you have that familiarity. Like, you know where maybe it dips kind of weird in one area, or you know where there's like a random hole in the ground that you just know to stick to the left or something like that. Um, Having a course like that and obviously racing a course like that, does your game plan change at all? Like, do you like going out fast, or is that like a course where you're like, oh, I know I can pick it up because there might be a slight downhill near the 1 mile or something? Like, does any game plan change, or do you like going out fast, going out slow?
For I feel like our kind of home meets like that. I think a lot about position and like placement for that because I'm like, okay, well, I'm representing my team and my school at this meet because like at this meet especially just because we're kind of putting it on. So I feel like I think a lot about placement then. And obviously I'm still trying to PR because I know it's one of my opportunities that I'm going to get to PR because it's such a flat course. But I don't know. Usually in all my races I go out faster and then like kind of slow down but then I pick it back up. But I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like, yeah, honestly, it seems like a lot of people that I've been talking to recently, it seems like the struggle is getting out like not fast enough. So I mean, it's good that you kind of like you don't feel like you have that kind of problem. Like you are able to kind of get out. I mean, because you do have, again, you do have speed. Like the 800 speed is there. What is your like? Again, I know the 4x8 doesn't count technically, but is that where your PR is in the
Yeah.
800?
I think
Yeah. What is it? Do you know?
well, at States, my dad clocked a 224, but my coach clocked 225. So we just, I think he clocked a 226. So I think we just considered it the 225, and that was it. But I don't know. I just feel like I could go so much faster than that. I don't know what was holding me back, but I feel like I have a lot more potential than that.
Yeah, it does seem like it seems like you're not alone. It does seem like um for some reason the 4x8 can like bring something extra out versus an open 8. I don't know why, but it's not uncommon. But yeah, you do have that speed to get out, so it's not shocking that it's not a problem for you. When you look at the team, right, and again, all the success you guys have, what were some of the expectations like going into the season? Like I feel like there's almost heavy expectations like right off the get go, just for the program that you guys have and like the history that you guys have. Um, was the expectation like states or bust or what?
I think the expectation at the beginning of the year was definitely like to try to go out and win states again. Well, I'm sure like all the other teams are also trying to win states, but I think we're obviously trying to win it again. But I think it was a little different going into this year because we had lost a lot of people off of our team from last year that we did originally win with. So I think as our like returning athletes, I think our mindsets were a little like, okay, we want to win states, but how are we going to get these younger people and these new people to have the commitment that we have for this to be able to get to where we want to be. So I think that was a little hard and a challenging goal to get over, but I think we have most people on board.
Yeah, I mean, I think too, like you, especially like building a team and and like continuing the success you guys have had. Um, I don't know, maybe I mean, like you mentioned, like you obviously losing people. Um, it was it. Did you guys have any like growing pains to like kind of put these new people in the seat and be like, hey, like this is how we do things. Like this is how like because you guys have the blueprint to win. Was it an easy transition for them to kind of understand like, all right, this is the standard. Like this is what we do. Like we stretch this way, or we do our warm ups or cool downs like this, or it was easy.
I don't think so, honestly. I think it was hard, especially because running is just such a hard sport. And if you've never done it before, it can be very hard. Like as I said, I cried every single day to my mom not wanting to be there. But I don't know. It definitely took some time, and I feel like we still have some room for improvement on our team with like specific people that we just really need to push them to do the right thing. But I think it was also hard on the returning athletes who had like such a tight team before, and just to go to a team that was totally new. And we're all a little bit older. I know I'm only a sophomore, but I feel a lot older than that. But it was just kind of hard, like including for me, just to kind of adapt to the new team with like a little bit of immature seventh graders and eighth graders who just really haven't like hit the like high school mentality yet.
Yeah, I love that you bring up that point because I think, and this is something I talk to coaches a lot about too, is like every team, every year is going to be different. And there's just, like you mentioned, there's just new personalities there. Um, there's, there's, I mean, I can't tell you, because so middle school really it was 7th through 12th. So, and I was on varsity from 8th to 12th grade. And there was just, I mean, the team that we had at 8th grade was not the team we had at 12th. And it was just different. Like there's just different people, different personalities, and different ways of going about things. So I understand exactly what you mean. But it takes time, and obviously you gotta hate to be like mentor because I mean, yeah, you are really only a sophomore, but you really kind of are thrusted into that kind of leadership role to be that kind of uh, that person who they can look up to. Uh, you guys are number one ranked. You guys are like clearly in the driver's seat. May Rivers behind you guys. Do you guys feel? I don't want to say like you have it in the bag, but like, is there that kind of confidence like it is yours to lose?
For me, like I feel like I know I want to win, but I'm just I don't want to feel like too confident in that we're gonna win and then us not win because you never know what states could hold. So I feel like a little bit of my other team, I feel like they could be a little bit too confident, and it kind of concerns me because I'm like, guys, what if we don't win?
Yeah, that is true. That is true. And it's crazy because you seriously never know what can happen at states. There have been so many crazy things and upsets and people not finishing races. Like
Hmm.
it is pretty crazy.
And you never
Um,
know what states is gonna hold. Like last year, it was freezing, so cold that my body didn't even warm up the entire time we were running, and I didn't really run a good race at states, and I was scared, so scared that we were not gonna win, but we did, so it's fine.
yeah, yeah. No, and that I mean, you bring up a good point too with weather. I mean, my junior year, we had the last race of the morning, and in Florida, it's so hot, and so we ran at like it was like 11 o'clock, but it was so hot, and but we trained like we never did morning workouts. We always did afternoon stuff, always afternoon runs, and we were just so used to that heat. It seemed like every other team just dropped like flies, and I ended up getting 10th, and the team we ended up getting like third, and it was just like we were just so well prepared for that, and
No, that's a nice.
but again, you just never know. You just never know what happens. A couple more questions here. Again, for being a sophomore, you're really on point of like knowing what to work on and things like that. Um, for you individually, what do you feel like you need to work on the rest of the year to kind of obtain like that sub 18 kind of standard?
I think I just need to stay mentally locked in, which I feel like I have been for the majority of the season. Summer was a little rough just because of that transitioning in between the old team to the new team. So that was kind of unmotivating a little bit, but I don't know. I found that motivation like in myself again, and I'm a very driven person. I'd say it comes pretty easy to me to just to find that, but I just think I need to stay mentally locked in, especially on the hills, because those those are rough. But
Yeah.
other than that,
Yeah, no, no, no.
like on the right path, like with everything that I'm doing for that. So
No, it's good. Like I said, I think looking internal of what you to work on is super huge to any runner, because there is always something to work on. Last thing, um, and again, it's funny because again, I know again you're a sophomore, but you still have so much like experience already in there.
yeah.
What advice would you give to? I mean, essentially, like, what advice are you giving right now to some of these like to the middle schoolers or the freshmen, like just wanting to join a team and like take the sport like one day at a time and kind of get better?
Mm. Um, I would just say to stay consistent. It's really hard to, especially like in those morning practices, or if you don't like morning practices and you have to wait the whole day for the afternoon workout that you've been dreading the whole day. But I just think if you let that get to your head, then the worse like your results are going to turn out. And I think that you just have to trust the process because our coaches know what they're doing. Clearly, they've had two state championship teams really recently. So I just that's my biggest thing. It's just to stay consistent and just trust the process because it'll all come together eventually, even if it doesn't feel like it. And it's gonna take a lot of time, especially once you're so young. Like you've hardly hit puberty. Like your body's gonna change a lot, and so will your running. But I just think you just need to stick with it.
No, hey, great answer. Consistency is always key. You can see it now. Trust me, I've talked to a lot of people, and consistency is key. Appreciate you coming on. Honestly, great talking to you. Awesome program you're at. Such a like interesting way of starting and getting into running and finding a love for it. I hopefully again, it's always going to be the ups and downs. Trust me, I've done it for so long. It's always a love hate relationship. But wish you the best of luck. Obviously, rooting for you guys. You guys have such a great team and great coaching staff as well. So thanks for coming on, and definitely would love to talk to you. Hopefully down the line, and we're talking about a state title that you guys won.
Well, hopefully. All right. Thank you.